All right, so I hit up my buddy Colin. So shout out Colin from the Hates. He's my dude when I need stuff like he's a mega fan of this band. I love this band. I would have to concede that he's a bigger fan of 30 Foot Fall than me. But I've been watching this band play live for a long time. They were one of the first bands that I got to see. They were like the homegrown version of like NoFX and Blink was 30 Foot Fall. They were huge, dude. They were huge. So in '97 we got 30 Foot Fall's record Acme 143. It's 17 songs in 44 minutes. So it's a couple more songs and then a few less minutes. This is a way more like the tempo, the mood, everything. Dude, this album starts off with this song called Urine Nation. And it's like this band is hilarious. They're fun, but they're also smart and they're good at their instruments. Like this is a quality.
Deep. It's deeper than it gets credit for.
Right. It is like it's like they hide it within jokes. Like they're almost like a NoFX type thing, but I think a little more charming personally. But Butch and Co. They're like the homies, man. This. Look, I don't even know how to say it, bro. This band is so important to Houston. 30 Foot Fall, if anybody's wondering. 30 Foot Fall, Acme 143 is the album. Came out in '97. But I hit up Colin for some factoids, and he said it's the first album that they did on Fearless Records, which is I think is a big deal. It's the last album with Damon De La Paz on drums. Let's see. Yeah, he moved to California with his other band, River Phoenix, who became Phoenix TX. That guy was the drummer for this album.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Brian Davis from Middle Finger replaced him. Let's see. Acme 143 title comes from a catalog number for a crack pipe.
Perfect.
I did not know that, but that fits. Yeah. So the guy that did all the artwork for the first River Phoenix EP, River Phoenix TX and Middle Finger albums, he's the same guy that did the artwork for this album. If you're a fan of that stuff, you could look at that and tell. Like I knew that. I didn't know his name, but I knew it was the same guy. But yeah, dude, this is like blistering fast skate punk with like a pop punk, dropper, bloop, some pop punk because it's faster than pop punk and it's heavier than pop punk and they shred more than pop punk, but it's incredibly melodic, dude. There's catchy hooks just all over this record. It's got like the Blink-182 maturity level woven in and out of it. Dude Ranch.
I have Blink written down several times in my notes because
I'm flabbergasted. What?
It was just like, I had so many thoughts when I went through this experience of like, so I was trying to like define them. Was the first thing because I had heard of this band and I couldn't like name a song. I knew of this album and then the album they released, I think in '99, it was Ever Revolving, Never Evolving.
Yep.
Like again, but I couldn't tell you. I had those records in my head. I had seen them. I don't think I had probably ever listened to them. And the first impression I kind of got from is the band you're wearing on your head right now. I was like, oh, this is like Teenage Bottle Rockets, like uncles or something, is kind of what I got about it. And then after a few times listening to them, I was trying to think what they sound like. And it was exactly, if I had described Teenage Bottle Rocket to someone, it's exactly how this band, I was like, basically the bass genre is like what we think of as skate punk, but it's like skate punk with a merger with like Ramones core, but they don't sound like the Ramones in the way the Ramones core did, but the humor and that sort of styling of the end with the charismatic vocalists and all of those things put it like, it's like NoFX plus like you sprinkle some Ramones core on top of NoFX. I think you would get this band, and eventually, and then eventually that evolves into like Teenage Bottle Rocket. That's exactly that style, I thought.
So saying that just tells me that this band is excellent because everything that you said is like top tier. Every band you mentioned is bands I love to death. I mean, dude, the Doppler Effect is probably my favorite record by them, but this is the one that I listen to the most. So like, I don't even know what that means other than I listen to them. I think maybe just at this point in my life, I listen to this record a little bit more, but dude, go listen to this album and like they shred, dude. They're not taking themselves too seriously, but they have songs.
They can play too.
Oh, dude, these musicians are amazing. I watch them play even now, and I'm like, dude, he's such a great vocalist, man. He's such a great front man. Like Butch has a very unique vocal style. Mm-hmm. But dude, I don't think it would fit any kind of music better than this. It is perfect for this. It's like, I don't know what to call it, dude. It's like a high pitch, but you can hear everything he's saying. He's not screaming too loud, but it's certainly not singing like a it's not like a Newfound Glory or like a Title Fight. It's not like that, but like this is the kind of pop punk that when people say it's not punk, it pisses me off because I know where these dudes are from. I know where they played. I know where they toured. I know the labels they were on. And I'm like, how could you say that? Because they're not screaming about the government all the time. It's just a different sect. It's the same kind of music, man. And these dudes rip. And you could tell they listen to, Slayer, Metallica and stuff.
And there's tons of political songs in here to that point you were making too.
Yeah.
It's there. It's just not, it's not like Pennywise where every song title is obviously,
Right. The thing is like it's political, maybe even more so in tone. No, that's not the right way to put it.
Yeah, but there's a lot of songs that, what's that 90s kind of politics that a lot of the punk has where it's more society critiques and stuff like that than sounding like
okay, that's valid. That's valid. But like, I mean, I don't
it's
even
mostly
know
criticisms of the scene though. If you read these lyrics and stuff, it's mostly or of themselves or of the people. It's a lot of that kind of stuff there.
Yeah, well, and I would because I don't consider that political really. It's like personal politics, I guess, but it's not like. But yeah, these dudes are very much. Hey man, be a good person. It doesn't take much effort. Like that's their credo. Credo. Just do good. Be nice. Be kind. Like, and then let's be silly and eat pizza and skateboard and play songs and shred and listen to thrash metal. Like, I don't know, man. If NoFX hadn't have been NoFX, this band could have easily been. If they hadn't had problems touring, like issues with that kind of stuff, I fully, sincerely believe this band would be as big or bigger than a whole bunch of bands that exist right now. Dude, you can't tell me that this band's not as good as like Lagwagon or Strung Out. Like in those bands, dude, these guys can match those guys song for song. It's a slight bit different, but talent-wise, they're just as good as all of them.
That's funny. So for like people are stupid. My notes for there: cool, fast skate punk intro. I love this as a Freedom album. Also makes me nostalgic for a time I didn't actually experience that I have there. Slayer and Nintendo in the like, and I think about this like because that is my favorite, probably my favorite genre of music is skate punk, and a lot of skate punk culture is that we talk about that the slacker 80s Hesher, with the pizza and the metal and the video. Like I didn't live through that time. I lived through the crappy early 2000s where no one had any fun, and it's like, but for some reason, like I feel nostalgic for whatever they're trying to affect in that song, and I mean that genuinely. Whenever music can make you feel nostalgic for something you didn't exactly experience in that form, that kind of makes you realize how good it is and how resonant it is. It's also my own personal hangups that I got to get over at the time I lived in.
Right. I did get to experience Slayer and Nintendo early on. I would say you probably have to replace Slayer with Metallica or Guns N' Roses for me because I've never been a big Slayer fan. But that vibe they're talking about, I remember that very vividly. This band is just so fun. And I think this is one of those bands that when people hear it, they go, oh man, what band is this? And then you tell them and then they go, they got like 6 albums. And they're like, where did they come from? And you're like, they've been around since the 90s. Like, cause it's like, I feel like they never really got the opportunity to do what they were fully capable of. They were on Nitro and Fearless. They got on big labels. They were clearly of that ilk. They were cut from the same cloth. But I think Issues touring, if I remember correctly, was what ultimately dissolved their, trajectory. It was on this thing, and they went, no shit, and you don't often get to get those chances back, man. And I've talked to Butch, and he's like, this is why we play as much as we play now, because we realized that we had an impact, but back then maybe we didn't. And I don't know if he said it exactly like that, but that's what I got out of what he was saying to me is that, back when they were doing this stuff, they were just doing it. And then things that they weren't seeing what was in front of them necessarily. And they had these little things that were like obstacles that they let become bigger obstacles than they were supposed to be or had to be or whatever. And it really smothered their momentum. And it just bothers me, man. And I want this band to be recognized and respected because they're my band. They're my version of all those bands that everybody loves. This is my version. Anybody's like, oh yeah, I used to see NoFX all the time back in the day. Da, 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 da. Yeah, that's exactly how I feel about this band. Same kind of music, same kind of era. I mean, these dudes were doing this shit in the early 90s, bro. Like this band was way before Blink-182. This band was doing it way before them. So like, not that matters. Blink probably has heard this and likes it. I would be shocked if Mark Hoppus didn't know who 30footFALL was and didn't like it a lot.
And they probably toured together a lot too in that in
I
that
have
time.
no, dude. They did, to my
I was reading
understanding,
that they
30
were
foot fall
always
didn't
like
do a ton of it.
saying what the little bit I was reading was that they had a few big slots on like big tours, and they were opening bands on some of the bigger, like I think they opened for the Offspring, they opened for the Vandals, they opened for a lot of the bands that that can really draw a crowd.
They've got a rabid fan base, dude. The people that love this band love this band. There's a guy in Canada that's like literally like just re-releasing all their old material for them just to do it. And I'm like, on vinyl, like that's how I got my copies on vinyl. And I was like, that's insane. Like I know how much that costs. That's a lot of money.
A band like this, I think, runs the risk of being forgotten to history because there's not a ton of information about
my
there.
point.
So it's like if it goes away with like your generation, it could just go away. Like
that's
really
why I
precious.
want to keep talking about them. That's why I'm gonna do more videos on more records of theirs, and I should probably get Butch on again because he's been on the show once. But if I hit like 20K subscribers, and I think that's pretty likely at this point, that's the kind of guy I need to have back on the show. Because like you said, people don't necessarily go back and look for your old videos, but if I can have him back on and just be like, yo, man, for people that have never heard before, give them the history, dude. Let them know what's up. Because if you're just going song for song, bar for bar, quality for quality, these guys match up with all the stuff we liked in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, well, these were part of the stuff I liked in the 90s, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't listen to these guys back then, right?
No.
Exactly. So, like, I think it matches up well or better than all that stuff. I mean, and it's weird too, because I think you can hear this band and tell they're from Texas. Am I tripping?
Maybe because I wouldn't have picked up on that necessarily.
There's a sound that we've got here that like it still happens. There's all these like I don't know. It's a way we talk. Maybe it's the language we use. Some of the artwork.
Yeah, you know what? I think maybe too. It's maybe like they kind of have like a Hispanic vibe to them with in some of the delivery of like, and I think that because there is a uniqueness in how they deliver things, and I think and that's a very Texas thing as well.
There's a lot of that down here for sure, man. We have a very strong Hispanic community.
The other band, speaking of that, I thought of with this that we've talked about a few times, a band that's a little closer to where I live was Grimple. I thought a lot of Grimple when I thought of this band. This was like not as much of like the extremeness of Grimple and everything that they brought. I thought this was like a little bit finer produced version of Grimple, like a little bit refined version of Grimple.
Definitely more poppy than Grimple.
Mm-hmm.
But the vocal styling, I can see some similarities there.
And I do think this lead singer has a ton of like charisma in the way that the vocals
dude, you should see him play live.
Are delivered. Like some of the songs I really like on this album are the ones where the band kind of lays out and he's able to just sort of just like he's kind of dominating the song. Like I have that written down like for Six Circle that I just really liked whenever the rest of the band would kind of goes away or doing a little bit more of muted parts and he's driving the entire thing. And he does it in both. He does it on the little bit slower vibe, like a song like that, or he does it on the faster vibes. And something you said speaks very clearly when he does it, which I think that's a real talent for a singer to sort of enunciate everything and fit it into these really fast type punk rock windows.
He's an interesting dude, man. He's like a very, very, very nice guy. Like he's so nice. And he's so you would like I think of Butch as like 1998, 97 when this album came out. I was seeing these guys play in like parking lots and shit, dude. Like I remember when they played at so if anybody's wondering, every year for I don't even know how many years, dude. It's this is not something I'm good at. It was remembering exactly how many of something, but for like 15 years, man. Shoot, it may not have been that long, but it's been a long time. They had a Christmas show at that club Fitzgerald's down here, and that was like man, what a sad thing that place is gone. That was probably the best club in Houston like ever, and we all been there for many, many shows, but they had a Christmas show there all the time. Not all the time, but once a year, obviously. Yeah, every couple of weeks they had a Christmas show. It'd be like, what the hell? It's August, bro. What are we doing? But those shows, man, it'd be Christmas night, dude. You'd go out and see a punk show, and it was like, it got to be so big. It was such a big deal, man. Like, I don't know, dude. I just got so many good memories. And I didn't really know them like that back then, like personally. Like I know Butch pretty well now. I didn't know the band like that. I used to work at a place where their drummer was a drummer for another band at. So like I've known them over the years, but I don't know, dude. Even when I was younger, I was just always had this pride that was the Houston version of all the bands I liked, and I was like, nah, dude, these guys are as good or better than anybody else. I get like that, man. It's just how it is, dude. Like, I love this band, and this album is fantastic. People are stupid. Play it by ear. Constipation, bro. The songs are so ridiculous. Urination is such an insane opener, bro.
Yeah, I hate that song though for personal reasons. What I'm saying is like, because as we go into middle age, I think the song gets more and more relevant as the years go on. You know, it's supposed to be this silly kid song, and I'm finding myself relating to the lyrics.
Full disclosure. If I walk into a bathroom and there's 3 stalls, 2 of them are taken, I walk right back out. I'm not doing it. I can't take a leak in front of people, man. I don't know what it is. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? They're like, huh? I'm not talking. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. And I'm just like, okay, bye. Don't touch my back. I'm like, sorry. I've never touched anybody at a urinal, by the way. I feel like I should.
It's funny on that same note, like for the song Constipation, that's the one that's like, you know, the Descendants and Blink-182 should send like a cease and desist over the lyrical subject matter.
Bro, these guys were doing it before Blink. I just want to keep saying that because they were. Not the Descendants, but Blink.
But I still think Blink should just be like an arrogant rock band and send it like, hey.
I mean, if they did, they'd probably frame it, make it an album cover. Like, no. Dude, yeah, this band, I mean, I personally think this band's far superior to Blink-182. They don't have the legacy, but the song for song, I mean, especially if you take all the Blink's catalog and you add all the shit we don't like about them, like they've got a lot of albums I don't care about. But
30footFALL is definitely better than the Piano Man. That's something else I have in my notes because their version of Still Rock and Roll to me is much better than Billy Joel. Fuck Billy Joel. I mean, it's nothing personal. I just like, you know, F him.
Yeah, I get. You know what's weird is I get people that come into my shop, and I'm talking like 20-year-olds, girls specifically. You have any Billy Joel records? I'm like, what are? I mean, yeah, they're in the dollar bin, dude. What do you want Billy Joel records for? That I've sold like, I don't know, 4 or 5 in the last month. Billy Joel records.
Okay, but maybe we should communicate that with the customers. I'm sure your customers are coming in and they're buying the coolest hardcore they can find, and they're wondering why that they're only hanging out with their other dude friends all the time. They need to be buying the Billy Joel record. Apparently, is the place to be.
That's also another thing. When you go to my store and it's 6 rows of punk records, 1 full row of hardcore, 1 full row of oi, and then like 2 rows of metal. And then they go straight to the hardcore records. They look at like 60, 70 records, maybe 100. And they either buy one or they don't, but then they leave. And I'm like, you don't look at any punk records? Like none? All this generation of hardcore kids are blowing my mind. They don't even listen to punk anymore. I'm like, dude, this is crazy. You guys listen to nothing but metal, I guess, huh?
Like, that does offend me. Like, I don't think like hardcore fans have to be punks, but like they need to at least be aware of like their punk rock roots and stuff.
That's where my problems lie.
So I don't like it when it's like the further generations of hardcore that's only influenced by hard. I don't know why that's a hang up of mine, but
it drives me nuts.
Accept hardcore, it's got to come from punk sentiments and punk scenes and those kind of things. I mean, just the way my brain works.
It wouldn't exist without punk. So that's my whole point. Is it wouldn't even exist without it. So like, what are we doing?
Yeah, hardcore is a subgenre of punk. Like I think that's very defined by this point.
So what kind of what kind of albums? What songs off this album? Dude, I'm like distracted. I got like 75 things happening to me right now. What songs off the album did you like the most?
Okay. I liked mostly for the lyrics. I loved Entertainment versus Enlightenment. I really like People Are Stupid. Like I said, again, lyrically, Constipation was good. No Compromise is probably my favorite song on the album. And I have it written down. There's a lot of like what I call like those punk rock freedom anthems on this thing. Like what you were talking about, like that Personal Politics, and that's one of them that I really like. I got a kick out of Bad Hair Day Punks. Like I love the way they call out like the real posers, like the guys who are just, so punk in your face that they have to be so about it. And I love how much they call out those people in there. I also really liked the 2 more that I really liked was I liked Sick Circle. I actually thought it started out like Goodbye to Romance by Ozzy Osbourne and then transitions into like a Lagwagon song and then turns into like a much slower. So it was like a bunch of different things I was kind of hearing on that one. And then the other one that I really liked was Out of Breath. I thought that one was a really cool one. The intro to me sounded like Screaming Out by The Unseen. It had that sort of that sort of build up kind of part to it, and then it gets into it.
So I don't really have a lot of songs on here that I pull out and go, I like these. I basically like the whole record, so I don't have a lot to say about it. Like, I like, there's not many on here that I don't think there's any that I skip. Punk Rock's in Your Head is a great song. Entertainment versus Enlightenment's awesome. People Are Stupid's awesome. Play It By Ear is awesome. Sixth Circle was coincidentally the last song I was listening to off this album today. I just went back and was listening to a few I liked. Send me the list of stuff that you liked so I can just go back and like send me like a list and then like what you thought it sounded like so I can listen to it from that perspective. I need to do that with you more and have you send me like the 3 or 4 songs you liked a lot and then say, because that sounded like this to me, so that I can hear this. Because we all listen to the stuff that we like from the perspective of our own tastes, and I'll miss out on like an Unseen reference, what you just said. Like I never would have ever compared this to Unseen at all. That doesn't mean it's not true. It just means that I wasn't listening to it like that. Feel like Morrissey? I do not.
Morrissey's been a punchline for so long. That was my comment on that. That's hilarious,
dude. So what I like about this band is that you can tell them, or you can tell people that they fit into this mold. They're skate punk, jokey kind of right? Like you could go, oh, if you like NoFX, you're probably gonna like this band. If you like early Blink-182, you'll probably like this band. There's so much more than that. There's so many like levels to their music because they're great musicians, and I always forget sometimes about how good they are at just writing songs and playing their instruments until I'm like, balls deep in a record listen, and I'm like, oh god, these guys are good, man. And I just forget how much they shred, dude. Like, I don't know. I like that. I appreciate it. I'm not gonna sit here and glaze these dudes much longer, but like, there's only so many times I can tell you how much I love this band. They're such a good representation of what I like about punk. They're not necessarily like overly political. They're about being nice. They're also about being silly, and I think there's a place that we need that. Do we need more silly in the world? Dude, the world is a dark place right now. And songs like, or albums like this, I should say, they're important, man. And this has got a lot of replayability, in my opinion. This album's hard. It's hard to get old. There's complexities to this record that aren't
pretty timeless. Yeah, and like lyrical content wise too. A lot of like the social situations it talked about. So that stuff's never going to change. Like that's always going to be relevant to people. And, yeah.
Well, what other band do we talk about like that? What other band writes songs that are like timeless? They're not pegged into a time. It's Rancid. Do they also do that? It's our favorite band, basically, right? Like it's what they do is they write songs that are relevant in 1996, and then they're still relevant in 2025. And it's like, well, that's insane. Well, it's because they're not going like NoFX did War on Terrorism and has George Bush on the cover. Well, that puts you at a certain point in time, which is okay. I'm not talking crap. That's one of the best songs they've ever. Probably my favorite song by them is on that album. Isn't that Separation of Church and State? Like, I mean, not like, and I think that this stuff competes with that all day. I think that's actually a really great comparison. If you like that kind of NoFX, there's no way you wouldn't like this. There's no way. I would be shocked, be flabbergasted. This is an album that I give like a 9.5 out of 10 to. There's a little room for improvement. I think that I like Ever Evolving a little more, and I probably like Doppler Effect a little bit more. But if you like this record, go check those two out, because I think that this is where you start. You start here, and then you go up to those others. But everything I've ever heard about this band has been quality, man. And like I said, that there's ebbs and flows to the record. There's some slow parts, some fast parts. There's intricacies. There's great guitar playing. And at the time, there's pretty decent production for back then. I can't imagine how hard it was to record a record like this in 97.
Yeah, I think it sounds great. I thought I had that thought when I was listening to it earlier, like, but again, it was on Fearless, so it wasn't on a tiny label, but
right.
Sometimes it's a gamble when you're listening to albums that are like almost 30 years old and weren't that well known. And we listened to this, like, so one of the things, the markers I think of like the Fat and Epitaph stuff is that stuff sounded as good as like the crap you could get at Walmart in terms of like the sound quality. And I think that's what really helped that 90s skate punk happen, is like the punks learned how to use like the Pro Tools and stuff like that. And it's like, but even on albums like this, like, God, that sounds amazing for the, not for the time, because a lot of stuff in that time sounds that good, but it really sounds really well produced.
It doesn't sound like a 90s record to me. At least, you know what? I need to listen to it on my CD. On Spotify, it sounded pretty good.
It sounded to me a lot like exactly like you're saying, the Warren eras, like that early 2000s, because there's a lot of instrumentation in this, and that like it's very full and in your face. It's mixed really well. It's just,
dude, that's
really
exactly
well.
what I was fixing to say, is that the mix on this record is, I don't know if perfect's the right word, but it is awfully good. Like it's close. And I think the band would probably say, no, there's things we'd change. Of course, dude. The artist is always going to be the most hard on themselves. But this album has such a fantastic mix. It's thick without being heavy. It's dense without being like overweight. Like it's got the right amount of heft to it. You know, sometimes you listen to maybe, I'm just gonna say like a skate punk record. Like you'll listen to it, it'll be like you're like, dude, where's like the oomph to the guitar tone? Like it's not there. It's like but there's no mids or lows. It's all highs, and you're like, that's not the case with any of their records, really. Like you know, they're it's hard to explain if you don't know these dudes. You don't understand how much they care about this stuff, and how whenever they go do sound checks, how particular they are with their sound. And like, I can only imagine what it's like recording with them. They're very, very professional. You know, when they were young, I don't know what they were doing, but you know, nowadays, I only saw them in a like live setting back then, so I wasn't at the studio or anything, of course. But yeah, I got these like visuals in my head of like back when I first started seeing this band play, and just being like, oh, these guys are good. And I didn't even know they were from here. And somebody's like, oh yeah, they're from like whatever in Houston. And I was like, this is a local band. And I think this might be the first local band that I was ever a big fan of.
That you were like a true fan of them, not just because they were from your town, but like you were
right. I was a fan. Yeah. And then I found out they were from here and was like, oh, now I'm like an Uber fan. And yeah, I think this was probably the first local band that I was just like, dude, this is the shit. And then we also have Bickley and Middle Finger. Bickley still plays. I don't think Middle Finger does, but there's Houston used to have its own thing going on, man. I simultaneously like, I love to reminisce, but I miss those days. I kind of wish we could have them back. But we've got a good scene now. I think we've got a lot of good bands. It's a different sound, but Houston's got a good scene, man. We got a lot of.
Was the club Emos? Is that a Houston club?
There was an Emos Houston and an Emos Austin.
Okay,
so like Emos was an institution.
In the Jawbreaker book, I think it talks about like they got like beat up or something at Emos, or like the fans were throwing a bunch of it. So in that book, there's an anecdote of someone on Albuquerque spitting on them for signing to a major, and then I think they got beer bottles thrown at them at Emos in Houston or something like that. Like, our towns were representing.
That's awesome. Emos Austin, the nastiest thing I would say like most mean-spirited thing that I've ever seen in my life happened outside of Emos Austin. I can't tell you what it was on this video because it'll get me demonetized, but I'll tell you as soon as we're done recording. It was messed up, dude. Yeah, I don't know what else I can say about this record. I enjoy it. I give it like a legit 9.5 out of 10. It's timeless. I can listen to it anytime. I could throw it on and listen to it probably front to back anytime. It's a little long. If it was a little shorter, I'd probably give it a 10. If it had 2 or 3 songs less, maybe 5, 6, 7 minutes less music, I'd probably give it a 10. What are we arguing about, dude? 9.5 out of 10 is a pretty spectacular number.
An 8 or an A plus, basically. Is what we're
right. Arguing. What kind of grade would you give this record if you were going to have to?
About an 8.5 to a 9. It's, you know.
Yo, I'm down with that. That's perfect, man. That's awesome.
It's probably not going to make the list as like, you know, but in my top 10 or something like that. But like you give, if I was like an A&R guy and you gave me this, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's the band I would sign.
Right. Oh, dude, I would love to re-release some of their stuff on 31 Records. That'd be amazing. But there's another band that I feel like, I don't know how to say it. I'm not going to say that. Never mind. I don't want to do that. That's gonna be kind of unfair. But yeah, 30footFALL is it's our band, dude. It's our skate punk band in Houston, man. Dude. There's not another band that really did what they did out of Houston, really. Not to my knowledge. I mean, I don't think Bickley ever got that big. Bickley was awesome too, though. Like if you like this, you like Bickley. If you know, they still play live. I still watch them play. They're great. Yeah, cool. Dude, so we're probably gonna be a couple weeks before we talk again. Is there any album that you want to cover? Is anything coming up with an anniversary or anything? You said you got some notes, maybe.
So let me look at that really quick. It looks like okay. We've already done an episode on the Green Day album that's hitting an anniversary.
Which one?
The one after Dookie. I can't pull it up right now.
Oh, Insomniac.
Insomniac, yeah. Insomniac's about to hit a 30.
Oh man, that's like my favorite Green Day record, probably.
And then where's my doc not pulling up?
That's a good album.
The other things that I have, and we can do something on that. I just know we've done that as like a full episode, so if we can have an angle on it or something. And then that's in October. There's nothing. The only I have Lagwagon Haas back all the way in November. So kind of seems like the album release is cooled in 95 and 2005 in the second half of the year.
Okay. So let's see here.
But maybe that's my very limited list. So there might be more.
Well, I can just go find why don't we pick a band then to do like a band, like another album versus album from a band. What kind of band you in the mood to listen to? You got somebody that you're itching to listen to?
I don't know. Throw some at me.
We could go Wild and Out and do The Clash.
Okay.
Which 2 albums?
You tell me. You're the Clash expert of the two of us.
Ooh, that's a bold statement, sir.
That's my one musical blind spot, like music history and stuff, is the Clash. I just don't know a ton about them.
Okay.
I shouldn't say that on the internet. No.
I don't like London Calling.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that what the album's called? Yeah. Clearly, I don't like it, right? I can't remember the title of it. But it's often cited as this fantastic piece of artwork. So I vote that we do Give Them Enough Rope because it's the one that resembles Rancid the most. And so it's going to be like a really accessible, easy listen for you. And I believe I think those go in chronological order. Let me double check.
That's like still their punk rock albums, right? Basically.
Well, Give Them Enough Rope is, I don't personally consider London Calling a punk record. But I also don't give a shit enough to argue with anybody about it. Actually, I do. I'll argue with anybody about anything. I like arguing. But at least I can, recognize that, right? Like, let's see.
Yeah. Give Them Enough Rope came out in 78, London Calling in 79.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Okay, it was the self-titled Clash album. That was the first one. Okay.
Correct. I like that record, and I've grown to like it more now than I used to, but like I just think Give Enough Rope is their best record. Whatever though. I mean, I don't get agreed with often with that take, so it's whatever. But let's do the Clash episode. It's been a while since I've talked about the Clash, and channel's probably doubled since I did anything on their stuff. So it would be probably welcome. You know what I've learned a lot is that if we talk about, let's say, Insomniac, and then we do another episode a year and a half later, it actually doesn't even matter because half the people that are watching it are like, oh, I didn't know you did it. Yeah. And like, I never really look at it like that, but who knows, dude, they might go back and watch the old episode and then go, oh, your takes have changed a little bit.
I'd be like, you said this 6 months ago. What happened?
Dude, my takes have changed over the past couple of years so much that I try to tell people, man, don't expect me to not change my mind, dude. If I say that this album sucks, dude, just understand that just means today. Like tomorrow, it could be the greatest thing since sliced bread. Likely not, but it could be. All right, what's coming up soon? Did you hear the new Left Alone record?
I have not.
It is good. Also, the new Teenage Ball Rocket, I think, is this Friday. So,
I think it's this week, right?
Yeah. So, issue 2 of the zines coming. I need to mail you both of them whenever the second one gets here. I'll send you a couple of them. All right, man. Thank you guys for hanging out with us, dude. This was fun. It went by kind of quick. Had a little less to say on 30footFALL. I think there's just more history, or at least known history. That's the thing. Is like you said, there's not a lot of information out there on 30footFALL. So it's a little harder to, have an hour's conversation on that band or that album. But it was a fun conversation and a great listen. I enjoyed it a lot. So, I appreciate your kind words. Everybody out there, you know what to do, man. Smash that like button. Smash that gal that you're looking at over there. Definitely do that. With permission, of course. Good Lord, what are we saying here? Rewind that, dude. Don't even take my advice. That was terrible advice. I don't know what to say right now. Bye.
Later.